talk now. This MMA, what we talking about? Yeah, you tuned into the pod now. Gonna be hard for you to stop now. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in.
Welcome back to another episode of Caged In. I'm your host, Chris DiCarlo. Got a very special guest making his debut on the show. It's Marcus, the Maniac McGhee. How we doing today, my man?
I'm doing great, man. Another blessed day. Yourself, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for asking. I know you got a big fight coming up in January, in the midst of training camp right now, I'm sure. So I appreciate you carving out a little bit of time to come on here and chop it up with me.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yes, sir. Anytime. All right, man. Let's get into it a little bit. UFC Fight Night, Ankalaev versus Walker. You were fighting Gaston Bolanos at the UFC Apex on January 13th. Before we jump into that, I want to talk about you a little bit, man. Get to know you a little bit better. Let the people get to know you a little bit better. So you talk about kind of, where you grew up, what was growing up kind of like for you, where you were born and raised, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was originally from Detroit, Michigan, and then we came out to Arizona after my dad went to prison in Michigan. Been out here jumping around Arizona for a long time, so we moved around a lot. I have two brothers, one sister, and my mom and my dad's actually out here now too. So he got out of prison when I was about 17. So life wasn't too crazy. I mean, everybody's life's a little different. We grew up a little harder, grew up a little tougher, and we had to work through some things, But here we are, still striving, trying to chase greatness. So.
Well, of course, man. Growing up, going through school and whatnot, did you play any conventional sports?
So I did every once in a while. We didn't really have a whole lot to play those sports. And even then, even the opportunities I got given, I wasn't in the right mind state to really chase those dreams and chase those opportunities. But I did, yeah, like high school, I played a little football, tried to get on the basketball team, didn't make it on the basketball team, played on the basketball team different times. So, yeah, and then I skateboarded my whole life. So since I was 12, basically picked up a skateboard and never put it down. So I've been skateboarding forever, but I was always playing sports and getting pretty good at sports. I just really wasn't a team guy.
Right, man. How did that end up transitioning you into MMA? What was the story like, the first time you got into the gym, the first time you kind of fell in love with the sport and decided this is something you wanted to chase and chase this dream?
Honestly, it took a while. It took a while before I even started thinking about it like that. Because what I did was I just got into the sport. I was just trying to get better. I was trying to develop a better skill set. I wanted to feel more comfortable in the street altercations I was getting into. And I kind of thought about it like that. And I just wanted to find out, honestly. I was at a cross points in my life. I knew I needed structure. I knew I needed to figure things out. So that kind of led me to the gym. And then through training and getting around like-minded people, I started to realize like, hey, this is something that I could actually do. This is something that I could do for a living, and make good money and provide for my family and also, build my own character. So that's kind of how it all came about.
There you go, man. Your nickname, you go by the Maniac. What's the origin story there behind the nickname?
So the origin story doesn't even come from fighting. Origin story is from tattooing. So I was tattooing with some of my friends, and I needed a nickname basically, and we were going through a bunch of nicknames, and I really wasn't feeling a whole lot of nicknames. I really wasn't into a nickname. My old nickname was Dirty Red, that came along with me from a child from Detroit, or D Red, and I didn't really like that nickname. But then my buddies came across Maniac, and I was like, man. For me, it rang a good bell because the Maniac McGhee is a book, a children's book that I was really into when I was younger. I remember reading it at a young age and loving the book, right? And it would be crazy because we reread the book recently, me and my wife, and a lot of that, there's a lot of similarities in how my life played out in comparison to that book,
Right.
But that was one of my favorite books, and it was called Maniac McGhee. The McGhee was spelled differently,
Right.
but it was still Maniac McGhee.
Hey, man, it's crazy how, things come full circle and work out like that, right?
Yeah, no, 100%.
For those that might not have seen you fight before, how would you kind of describe your fight style to them?
I would describe my fight style as very high volume. I don't know. I definitely think I have an action-packed type of style. I come to bring the fight. I come to leave it all out there, and I come to bang. Like I'm not trying to trade. I'm not trying to like just get hit or to do unnecessary damage, but I'm definitely trying to fight and want to test myself. So I kind of bring that prowess in there to the ring with me, and ends up being exciting fights.
There you go, man. Can attest, a very exciting fighter to watch. Hit the nail on the head with that one for sure. Let's talk about your training camp a little bit, man. I know you train over there at MMA Lab in Glendale, Arizona. For those that aren't familiar with the gym, what's the vibe like over there, and kind of what's everything like over there at MMA Lab?
So very family oriented, that was one of the things that really drew me back in because I had a lot of things in life going on that kept on kicking me out and taking me out of training. Uh, and that kind of like added to me not being able to be as active as I wanted to be. So they kind of reeled me in, staying around guys that were training hard, staying around guys that were doing the best that they can, and seeing them triumph and go through it was like a great thing for me.
It does, mean a lot to have guys that are in the gym with you when you all have like-minded goals and everybody's there to kind of lift each other up and push each other. So it's cool that you have that vibe over there going on at MMA Lab for sure.
100%. And it's definitely pushed me in my career, period, just to not be kind of focused on the goal, but be focused on or not necessarily not focused on the goal, but not be focused on less necessarily fighting, but be focused on getting better, building the character to be able to overcome not just things in the cage, but overcome things in life because nothing hits harder than life, as Rocky said, right?
That's right, man. There's nothing wrong. That's definitely a true statement. Obviously, I grew up on the Rocky movies, man. My old man is a big fan, so I know all those quotes. Uh, for this camp, man, I know you do have a fight in January, so you're about a month away from getting in the ring. What is going on over there at MMA Lab? Who are some of your key training partners for this camp specifically?
Yeah, so nothing changed too much. We all are in the gym for each other, constantly training. So, Kyler Phillips, Mario Batista, Abdul Kamara, Beche, Coyote, Ezra, Ethan. I literally have a staple of guys that I constantly train with on a regular basis
Mhm.
and get good work in with these guys. And then as far as coaches, Joe Riggs, Rob Emerson, Randy Stanky's my main striking coach. John Crouch is my head coach. So like literally just surrounded by like all these guys that are just pouring into each other. So camp hasn't been too crazy. I mean, we do camps, like it's a camp, it's 6-week camp. But I was already training, like nothing
Yeah,
changed. We've been training since the last fight. We've been working on the things that we need to work on to try to improve. Now it's just been dialing in certain things, dialing in the things that we want to dial in for the fight in particular. So I'm excited for it, 5 weeks out. And Bolaños is a great opponent, and I'm when they first scheduled it, I was excited for it then, and I'm excited for it now as well. Definitely set my skill set across from his skill set and find out, where we're at.
definitely, man. 100% looking forward to that matchup. It's going to be a great fight for sure. Let's talk about your fight history a little bit. You are 8-1 as a pro, 2-0 inside that UFC octagon. Your UFC debut actually ended up coming at UFC Vegas 72, where you took the fight on 3 days' notice. What was it like getting that phone call for you to find out that you got the fight offer to join the UFC, and obviously the emotions of it being on 3 days' notice, and then going into that fight on such short notice? What was the game plan like for you?
Yeah, so it was a crazy experience, and it was all the emotions, like Nipsey Hussle said, like I went through all the emotions, first the excitement, like, oh man, I can't believe they're really calling me, and then it's like, oh wait, it's the UFC.
Mhm.
Oh wait, I'm fighting somebody in the UFC in 3 days, a fist fight, Oh wait, I gotta cut weight, like I gotta get blood work, I gotta do it. It's like it was definitely a rush, it was a rush, and it was a great experience. And to be able to, more so than even the result of getting the win, just to be able to handle myself as I handle myself throughout the process of it, make the weight, be chivalrous and courteous to everybody that was around me, really be present for the moment, and go give my best. That was one of the things that just for me, it was like, I'm going to take that with me for the rest of my life, that, I was able to accomplish that because it's not an easy feat.
For sure, man. Definitely a crazy story when you look at it, given the time frame and whatnot. You go in there, get the win by rear naked choke in round two. What were the emotions like when you got your hand raised? UFC debut in the fashion that you got it done in, and then on top of that, you walk out of there with the 50K performance of the night bonus. I'd say that's a pretty good first day on the job.
No, absolutely. And for me, I I was just grateful. They kept bringing it up because I kept on saying it. I was just grateful, thankful. I was just very present in the fact that like it doesn't always happen that way, and it doesn't have to happen that way. And just thankful to be able to experience that and be there for that, and then also come back and change, not necessarily change the life, but like be able to add to what I have been doing. To get back from where I was, because I've been working hard for a long time, not just training and fighting, but just to be the man I am and to provide for my family the way I try to, and to know that I was still standing on that was good to feel.
For sure, man. Let's get into the second UFC fight, UFC Vegas 78. You take on JP Buys, end up going out there, knocking him out in the first round. Did you feel more confident going into this fight, knowing that you had a longer time frame to get ready for this, and you had a full camp under your belt, and it wasn't such a rush like it was in the first one?
Yeah, absolutely. But I still felt the same, like I definitely feel at home in the UFC, like
Mhm.
there's no doubt about it. I feel at home there. I feel like it's where I'm supposed to be at. So even walking in there against a Journey, I felt that same way. And I walked in there against Bays the same way. And it was cool to have 6 weeks of knowing the same person that I'm going to fight. Cause my career before that was always like, all right, maybe I get a fight and have a little bit of a camp, or maybe I'm taking a fight on 2 weeks notice, 10 days notice, 8 days notice. All these, that's what I was basically doing. So it was nice to have that lead up and put in the work, and also do that, right? Like
Mm.
be able to not have the excuse of, oh, I put in the work. Like I put in the work. I flipped over each stone and did the work, and then went out there and performed, and honestly, I was happy with the result too. I was honestly, and I respect Bays. I respect all these guys. I definitely want to finish guys first, second, third round, whenever it comes. But to be able to get in there against a guy like Bays, who I think is extremely durable and tough, and to finish him in the first round like that, that was another moment where it was like, man, this is surreal.
Definitely, man. That right hand that you hit him with was super clean, turned his lights off for sure. What was the decision behind the walk off? I know you didn't want to do any more damage to him. You kind of walked it off there. The ref kind of jumps in and saves it. What was the decision there and the mind frame from you in that decision?
It was just in the moment, I felt like it was over. I seen him fall forward, and like I just felt like, man, right, even when I was sitting there, I could have thrown 3, 4 more. Maybe he recovered, maybe he not recovered. And I did see the ref start to come to check him out to make sure. And even in my mind, in the midst of all of it, I just thought to myself, okay, I'm not gonna rush it. We're still in the first round. We only been 2 minutes into this. I just dropped him, like if the ref doesn't stop this, and if he does get back to a single, I'm gonna wrestle, maybe take him down, maybe not, and I'm gonna find my shots again. Like I was very present. I really wasn't trying to get out too soon or stay in there. I was just present in the moment, and what options were given to me, I was gonna take.
For sure, man. Ends up being a first round KO, highlight reel, another performance of the night bonus for you there. 2 UFC fights, 2 finishes, 2 performance bonuses. Plenty more to come, I'm sure. So let's get into the next one. UFC Vegas 84, January 13th versus Gaston Bolanos at the UFC Apex. Speaking of the Apex, man, how do you feel about fighting there? This is going to be your third UFC fight, third fight in the Apex. Are you kind of done with the Apex stuff? Are you ready to get out there in front of a big crowd and feel that energy?
I'm present. It is what it is. Like again, I'm not overthinking it too much.
Mm.
I'm fine to be in the Apex. I'm blessed to be in the UFC competing where I am, and I'll be thankful to have a crowd when a crowd comes and be there. So it is funny though, because it's like everyone's been saying the same thing. Like, man, isn't it kind of crazy that you're still in the Apex? You had 2 really good performances, and
Mm.
where's this come? Why are you still in the Apex? And I'm like, I hear you guys, but it's all good. It doesn't bother me at all. I think everything's in its due time, right?
Mhm.
And it's according to God's plan, and it's working out to His plan, And as long as I could be there and be where He wants me to be at the time is, I can be free and be good with that. So Apex it is, and I do like the Apex. I like the staff, like I'm really big fan of like talking to a lot of like the UFC staff, talking to a lot of any of the people that are helping with everything security, forming relationships with them. Maybe not it's super deep, but like letting them know they appreciate it. The excuse me, the regulation. I can never think about the
Mhm.
name, but NS or whatever it
Yeah,
is,
the
the
commission.
Nevada Commission. Yeah. So the commission, I try to be courteous to them and talk to them as well, because these are all human beings that are just making this thing happen, right? It's not just
For sure.
me, it's not
100%.
just me, it's all these people. So
Definitely, man. 100% agree with you there. You were supposed to fight your now opponent, Gaston. You were supposed to fight him in your last fight. And unfortunately, that one ends up falling through. You end up fighting JP. But looking at this fight now that you're rescheduled again, is the game plan any different for you now than it was back in August when you were originally supposed to fight him?
No, no, nothing. I mean, it doesn't change too much, like we both have our things and we both are changing and evolving. So we're gonna have to be ready for each other's evolvements. We both have evolved and changed. So I'll have to be ready for the same things that he's brought from the past and the new things that he's working on now. Because he's a very hard worker and he's been at this for a long time as well. So I don't think much changes, just be ready, be present, to capitalize on anything that he does bring to the table.
For sure, man. And looking at the matchup between you two and his skill set, how do you feel about the matchup for you overall?
I think it's a great matchup. I think it makes sense, That's why I can't. Some people are upset about like, man, how are we fighting this guy again? We're supposed to fight him, didn't happen. We're going back to fight him now.
Mhm.
And for me, it was like matchmaking makes sense, Stylistically, we're both strikers, and want to be on the feet, like I have that submission. But if you talk to anybody else, they're like, no, we're gonna take him down because they think that I don't want to be on the ground, right? So even though I do really enjoy the ground and I have improved on the ground substantially. I'm a striker. That's what I am through and throughout. I want to strike. I want to land good combinations. I want to do good setups. I want to look clean doing it. And he's a striker, and we both knock people out. So it's like that's a. I'm 33. He's 31. It's like there's a lot of attributes in this matchup that make sense. So. It definitely excites me, gets me up in the morning for sure. I mean, everything gets me up in the morning. A beautiful day gets me up in the morning, but it definitely makes sense.
100%. I think it is a fight on the card that it stands out amongst the bunch. It's going to be a very exciting matchup. Like you said, pretty evenly matched as far as styles go. So I think it's going to be a very fun one for the fans. When you visualize this fight, how do you picture yourself getting your hand raised?
I again, I finish, whether it be a knockout, whether it be submission, whether it be, I don't whatever, I do expect myself to go finish. I'm gonna train and expect a 17-minute fight, but I'm looking to finish. I'm looking to find any opportunity I can to get a finish in there, and that's what I'm trying to do. So, and I'm sure he wants to do the same thing. He doesn't want to necessarily go the distance again. So that's my plan. My plan is to take whatever he gives me and come up with a finish.
For sure, man. Going into fight night, what's your just overall favorite part of the whole experience?
Uh, just the fact that this is what we get to do for a living,
Mhm. Pretty
like
cool.
pretty cool, pretty cool that people care about this thing, and overly sometimes, but it's like
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to think that like we get to go fight, and it's tough. It's a hard life to take on. It's really tough to be a fighter and all those things, but still we're getting paid to train, to be in our best form, and to go out there and do our art, as you would say. So for me, I'm really thankful and grateful on those nights. So for me, I'm just like, I'm just, oh, I'm just free, I'm just
Yeah.
free on those nights, free from everything. So, and that's literally how I kind of go into the whole situation. Free minded, free thoughtful, like this is what we get to do. I embrace it. Yes, there's tiring moments. Yes, there's hard moments, but just like there's good moments and so many great moments come from it that I don't really get overly wrapped up in just the fight,
Mhm.
like our conversation is longer than the fight's going to be,
Right.
so
For
it's
sure.
just like, the fight will be the fight. I'm gonna be thankful and praiseful to be there. Enjoy the time that I have in there, and then we'll be on to talking about the next one probably.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Coming from the fans' perspective, we appreciate all the hard work that you guys put in to put on a show for us to watch every Saturday night. So it's good that you guys get to go out there and you know, enjoy all the hard work that you put in through all the hard days in camp and then get to enjoy it and and we enjoy watching you guys put on the product that you guys do, man. We appreciate that.
Heck yeah, man. That sounds good. I love that. I love that.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Let's talk about your life outside of fighting, man. I know you got some projects cooking up that you've been active on since your UFC career started. One of them is your podcast. You're the co-host of Punches and Pints podcast. For those that haven't heard or haven't seen it, can you kind of just give us a vibe of the podcast? What's it like, man? And just give us a quick rundown on that.
Yeah, no. So it's so funny because you know, I had a couple business partners that I got with that were like, man, we need to start doing some content, doing some stuff. This is all before getting into the UFC, you know,
Mm.
we were just kind of starting to work on things. So we started the Munchies with Marcus and didn't get it finished for like 4 months, you know. And then I get that short notice fight and then release it that next Sunday, you know.
Right.
So it was pretty ironic how that happened. But Munchies with Marcus, it's my cooking show. It's a cooking show too, you know. It's like but it's a different kind of cooking show. I'm just trying to, you know, be myself and be you know, kind of be creative with what we're doing, and then also eat good foods and make good foods as well. Things that almost all the meals are things that I actually eat right now, like not new things. I want to start adding new things and new spices and learning. And there's
Hmm.
definitely another angle coming from it for sure. But to start off, it was really just like, hey, how can I, you know, how can I interact with my fan base, you know, and I didn't have a huge fan base at that point, but it was still like, how can I interact in a way that's authentic to me, that's not super crazy or me going out on the whim. And the cooking show is what came about, you know, and then
Yeah.
obviously the podcast too, which I think the podcast plays a big part too, because, you know, again, I'm a 33-year-old man. Even though I feel really young, I realize a lot of times that like 33, and being through the life that I've been through, there's a lot of learning in that, you know, and a lot of learning and lessons in that that can be passed down to guys that are 22, guys that are 25, guys that are
Mm.
27, 28, you know, guys can really get good information from that. Not and likewise, I can get around other people who have been through similar things or the opposite side of that and give their take. And just being able to utilize any type of platform to interact and help people was something that was like super. It seemed like it was something up my alley too, you know, because I do a lot of cool stuff, but I'm not really a flashy. I don't really want people to look up to me like that, you know. I don't want people to turn around and be like, "Oh, Marcus is that guy. Let's do what he's doing," you know, because that's not what I want for people to do. I always, this is a new term that I said. So it's like, don't follow me, follow Jesus, you know, be like Jesus, you know, don't be
Yeah.
like me. But like, because I make so many mistakes. I've made some mistakes. I've done a lot of things, and I do want people to try to better their lives, but not to be like me. We should not idolize each other, right? We should utilize each other's lives to get better, right?
Mm.
So that's where the podcast came in play. I just started getting around other people. And I was like, man, we could all just talk and maybe
Yeah.
somebody gets good information from this, you know?
100%, man. Speaking of the podcast, do you have a favorite episode that you guys have recorded? Anything in anyone in particular that stands out to you as your favorite one?
Probably the one with Justin, from Built Better, the strength training center that I train at.
Hmm.
That's probably the best one. I just really like the way that he puts things, you know, and how he put things together. That's probably my favorite one. And then we just dropped the episode with the wives too. That one was a little bit
Yeah.
more fun than I thought it was going to be. You know, I thought we were going to be getting a little heated in there, but you know, the wives were good and we were good.
There
So
you
that was
go.
another good one too.
There you go.
Uh, and then probably the one with Randy Stanky too. That was probably another one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely turning out some good content for sure. I've seen it all over Instagram and whatnot. Definitely a lot of cool clips coming out of that podcast, that's for sure. And you mentioned the cooking show, you know, Munchies with Marcus. I'd be a bad podcast host if I didn't ask you, since you are a Munchies guy, man, what are your go-to top five Munchies?
Top five. All right, we're gonna have to go in here. I love carbs, first of all. So anything that's potato, let's go. Baked, fried, powdered, however it is. So potatoes, I'm a big fry fan. All them types of fries, garlic, aioli, any type of fries, I'm gonna go to for sure. So that's always one of my go-to.
Mm.
I'm also like a breakfast burrito or like big burrito type of guy too, you know. So like that's one of the things I like carne asada burritos, maybe
Yeah.
even carne asada, add the bacon, add the extra things. So that's another one too. I really like to get, and then I guess loaded French fries too.
Mm.
Loaded French fries, whether it's like buffalo and sauce and a little cheese and then just the fries, regular seasoned fries, or it's like carne asada loaded with sour cream, guacamole. Definitely that probably be number three. Pizza.
Of
Can't go
course.
wrong with pizza, right? You
Right.
know, flip it on each other, smash that down. And then the third one, I guess the fifth one, I guess I'm gonna have to go with cereal.
Yeah, you
Cereal is
can't go
just
wrong with cereal, bro. That's an all-timer.
100%. Yeah, that stuff's terrible for you though, but
Oh,
man,
I know.
that's like the ice in my veins, you know.
For sure, man, for sure. Dude, you're making me hungry just talking about all the food now. I'm gonna have to go get some munchies myself. All right, Marcus, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for taking the time to come on and talk to me. Hopefully we'll be able to talk again soon after the fight. We'll come back on and do a little recap. But before I get you out of here, man, anybody you want to shout out, anybody you want to thank, where can the people come find you on the social medias?
First, I want to thank you, man, because I really appreciate you giving me your platform to kind of go out there and reach new platforms or new people and
Of
networks.
course.
So I really appreciate you bringing me on. And then I always gotta appreciate, the Lord above, and appreciate Jesus Christ, for being my Lord and Savior. And then my team, I can't do this without them. No one does it alone. We say it all the time. Ubuntu, we are because you are. Like, we're all one.
Mm.
So they push me every day, my family. And then also Iridium Sports Agency, they've been with me since basically my pro career started, essentially, and we've done a lot of great things. So I got to thank them as well. And then Riz Pharma. Riz Pharma has been helping me out a lot. And I'm really excited to see what their company does too, and how we can keep on doing a bunch of things. So yeah, I appreciate them all, man.
There you go, man. All right, man. January 13th, you're going in there, man. We'll all be tuned in, ready to watch you go to work. Marcus, appreciate the time, man. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you, man. You too, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Got down for the count and he can't even talk now. This MMA, what we talking about? Yeah, you tuned into the pod now. Gonna be hard for you to stop now. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in.